It's Dee on the spot.
Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. But before I get to our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. We greatly appreciate it. We have Tormenta on the show with us. They're our first international guest coming to us all the way from the UK. Tormenta, how are you guys doing?
We're great, thanks. How are you?
Thanks for having us.
Oh, no problem. I'm doing great. So why don't you give us a little bit of a backstory on what both inspired you guys to get into music and what inspires you as musicians?
Well, Tormenta started, for those who are good on their Spanish, Tormenta is Spanish for storm. We originally, myself, Donna, and John, our guitarist, we were in a tribute band to El Nino called Los Leones Latinos. And we played a couple of gigs and we really enjoyed what we were doing. What we really wanted to do was support. We ended up being really good friends with the guys in El Nino, and they've been helping us with the music and stuff. And one thing we wanted to do was to, when they come over to the UK, we wanted to support them, but we can't support them playing their own music. So we came up with the idea of getting together and see what we could come up with original. And
what we've made is surprised all of us, to be honest.
Very well received. Very well received.
Yeah.
We wanted something really heavy. Personally, I'm a core kid. I'm a hardcore kid. I like my hardcore, my metalcore, my breakdown. And we wanted that to be heavy, but I quite like the electronic side of stuff. I have very varied taste in music. So one thing that we did want to do is to combine the heaviness of hardcore metal with electronic. That's not anything new. That's been getting done for years, but I think we've given something a little bit ever so slightly different. And in the 4 or 5 months we've been playing shows, it's skyrocketed. It's been the response that we've got is unbelievable.
I think another influence for all of us really is 90s new metal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And all of us were massive like Korn fans and Limp Bizkit and Linkin Park. Linkin Park are a huge thing. So in some of our newer songs, you definitely hear a lot more of the new metal influence, don't you? We've got rapping and stuff in there that does actually surprise a lot of people because we just throw some stuff in there and they're like, oh, well, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And they're like, a lot of people just stand there and look a bit confused as if to say, in a good way, they're like, well, I wasn't expecting that, but that was really, really good. And
where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Yeah, we've had that a lot. Where did that come from? So yeah, definitely big new metal influences and metalcore and electronic as well. So all combined, you seem to get what we can produce, which is it's pretty cool.
well, a couple of us are gaming nerds as well, so we've got a song that's on our Spotify called Black Hole. And it was a Black Hole. Warcry. Sorry, I don't even know my own song. Warcry's got some Street Fighter samples in there as well, and it's really good. That song was actually influenced by a lass in America. Who's a very, very big fan of ours. She lived in Texas, called Daniela. And when we were first writing ideas down, we sent that to her, and she said, "Oh, that opening riff sounds like Street Fighter." And me and the guitarist just went, "Yeah, we need to do that now." So we threw a load of Street Fighter samples in there. And at the end of every show, someone comes up to me and goes, did I hear someone say Sonic Boom? Like, yeah, you did. But it's worked really well so far. We're very happy with what we've done. And this is only the beginning, so...
Yeah.
So when you guys were starting as a band, was there any discussion as to any different genre that you guys might want to play, or were you both, or were all the members of the band just in agreement as when you guys were starting out what type of music you wanted to play?
Yeah, we kind of knew.
It was pretty set, wasn't it? We had like the 4 main things that we wanted. We wanted dual vocals, which we've got. So Phoenix does one of the vocals, and then we've got Robin who does the clean vocals. And we were very set that we wanted dual vocals. We wanted heavy riffs, so like something that really got people's heads moving, like groovy, yeah. We wanted catchy choruses so people could sing along, and we did want that element of like rap in it as well with the electronics. So it's we basically sat down and we were like, right, what kind of music do we like? And we're lucky because the founding members were me, Phoenix and John, and we all like the same kind of music, so we kind of set the paving slabs, if you will, for what we wanted to do, and then we brought the rest of the guys on board with it. So and it's worked really well. Robin's voice fits perfectly. That's the clean vocalist. It fits perfectly with what we wanted, the vision that we had in our head of the choruses and stuff. So Yeah.
We love to hear first song stories. What was the first song that you guys came up with as a band?
It was actually this is a funny way. It was actually most of the original songs were written in this room that we're in at the moment, and the first song we did was at Christmas time, and John had moved down he'd moved down to live with us over Christmas because he was finding a new flat. So it was around that time that we're like, right, let's start making some music. And we didn't have any singers at that point, so the music was purely instrumental. And the first song we wrote, we actually called Fajitas and Cats.
Yeah,
working titles. So we had Fajitas and Cats, which is now called Tattooed Scars, which will be on our new album when we get that recorded very soon. And actually, it's a triumph, isn't it? Really, it's one of my favorites. It's evolved
a
so
lot
much.
from that first. Having it right, we needed a riff, we needed a chorus, we needed a breakdown, and then we'll just structure it. And that first song, it was like, right, okay, we've got something here.
And we really surprised ourselves, didn't we? We're like, oh my god, this is actually really good. We wrote this. We were like, what?
It's all very simple. I personally, I can play any instrument you put in front of me, physical instrument. So all the samples that we do is made on Ableton. With a couple of VST plugins for it, and because it was the samples were pretty much my idea. Like, I want to have samples in there, I want to have electronic music going on. I also realised that I didn't have a clue on how to make that electronic music, so I had to learn from scratch, get this software, and go, right, let's press some buttons and see what noises it makes. So as I'm over the 6 months that I've been learning it, I've gone back and revisited the first songs like Tattooed Scars that we just mentioned and added that extra little layer into it. Because when we first wrote it, we just had the guitars, the bass and the drums, and we put the percussion, which is our tip of the hat to El Nino, to have some extra
drums,
tribal beats in the background, for lack of a better word. And so when learning as we were going along and then revisiting the old songs to make them sound even bigger, and Tattooed Scars now, even though huge. Our songs, in our opinion, got better as we wrote them, they're going back to the older ones and making them sound even better is just something that happens on a regular basis. So.
They've always evolved, haven't they? Yeah.
Do you find that writing songs after you've kind of already established a few songs is harder once you already got like your base of songs down, or do you find it to be easier knowing that you kind of already have been creative in your process before?
I think
that's a very good question. We can actually spit out songs faster than the lyricist can write lyrics. So.
I think the thing with us is, with you and John, you Phoenix and John are the main musician, story writers, songwriters. You know what I mean? And you've had a lot of like banked up stuff that you've been writing and wanting to do, but not actually having the outlet to do it. So John especially had a lot of riffs written, didn't he? But he's always writing. He just literally, his life is work and music, and he's always writing riffs and sending them over. And then we spend hours in this room with the samplings, just like layering stuff over each other and seeing what noises go with what. And we're constantly thinking about new things, aren't we?
Yeah. I've actually stopped writing stuff because we've now got 30. We play 7 songs in our set. Our set's around about half an hour, which is kind of basis for supporting around here. But John's churning out songs and sending them to me, and then I'll do some bits to it, send it back. He'll do some more bits, send it, and then we end up with a song. And then eventually we've got 4 or 5 songs with no lyrics because we've just thrown the songs out, and Robin, the guy, he writes all of our lyrics. He's just gone, right, I've got all these songs and you've just given me a solid writer's block, thank you.
We've had to slow him down
a little bit and calm down on the songwriting, but I'm almost certain that John's been recording and leaving it on his computer, because I specifically said, do not send me any more music until we've finished the ones that we've got. But no, as far as it goes, writing them, we don't have any issues with.
No.
Writing the songs.
It's actually come really naturally, hasn't it? And the brilliance of it is we work really well as a team, so we have kind of a natural way that things lie. So John will write the riffs and he'll send it over to Fee, and our single Crimson, when he sent that over, oh my days, we looked at each other, didn't we? And we were like, what is that?
It was just a wall of noise.
It was just...
We'd said from the start that we wanted to edge more towards the metalcore side of it, but this thing was fast. And he sent me this wall of noise, and I just said, "Oh, you've written a punk song, nice one." And it was just fast all the way through. There was not really a break, so I was like, right, I need to do something with this. So we split it out, we moved everything, we put a little bit in between to break it down a little bit, and that ended up being the first song that we released. And well, we've got that wall of noise that came to me on this very computer here.
It's now at 13,000
song
streams.
That everyone sings along to when they come along to the shows. So
it works really well. So John basically writes the riffs and he sends it over, and then you break it in, make it into a song. So there's lots of structuring, taking little bits out and adding little bits in, and the beauty of having the samples as well and the synth side is that you can completely chop out the whole song. And it's all done on like Cubase as well, so there's a lot of looking at the screen and just saying, what about if we move this riff here? And it's very technical the way that we write our music. A lot of people will think it's quite of a new age way of writing, I suppose, isn't it? A lot of people will get into a studio and will jam together, but because we live a little way away from each other and we all have jobs and lives and stuff, a lot of it is done at home in separate rooms. And so he sends stuff over to us, we chop and paste it and then send it back, and then he goes, oh, I really like that. And then when we're all happy with the structure, we send it over to Robin, who's our singer, and he basically structures the lyrics. So he'll structure your lyrics and his, and he sends it to us. And then at the end, we've got the final structure of the song. And even then, it's not set in stone, is it? There's a lot of playing around with things and sitting in this room and going, nope, don't like it. Oh yeah, I really like that bit. Oh no, I don't like that bit. Can we maybe try this bit there? Can we lengthen that bit? Can we shorten that bit? So it is like I say, it's a very modern way, a lot of technological way of writing music, but it works for us, doesn't it? And it's coming up with some great outcomes, which is great.
So when it comes to lyrics for your guys' songs, do you like to explore a certain set of themes, or do you guys like to explore a wide variety of topics in your lyrics?
They change. They're not set in stone. I mean, a lot of bands these days, they're like, for lack of a better word, emotional.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of emotion in our songs, but we don't have a set theme. So
no. I think because Robin writes all of the lyrics, and he's basically given a song, and he has to write lyrics to that song. And because the songs have a lot of layers to them already, he kind of gets a feel from the song as to what direction it is. We've got a song that's currently called T&C. What's it going to be called? Legendary?
No, that's BMI.
That's BMI. See, we've basically got working titles. Anyway, this song, we were doing it and we were trying to work out what samples worked well with it, and it ended up being quite like combat and war and stuff that came through on it with sirens and things. So he was like, right, okay, and now I know what the song has got a feeling for. I'm going to write about war and conflict in the world and things like that. And so that basically is how that song developed, and that's how most of the time he's written lyrics to the songs, isn't it?
We've got Crimson, that's about
post-apocalyptic war,
like
isn't it?
the destruction of our lives by the government and God knows what. And basically, we one of the lyrics, the chorus is crawl through the ashes and witness their kingdom. So it's post-apocalyptic. It's been destroyed, and we're coming out and we're rising back. And then we've got Tattooed Scars, which is about
it's about attention seekers on social media. Basically, the people who have always got something wrong with them and always crying out for attention. And there's a lot of it in society nowadays. And basically, it's taking the attention away from the people that actually need it. That's what that one was about. It's a lot of kind of topical themes that's pretty much going on at the time.
It hits home to everybody. It appeals to everybody. And then we've got Mouth Breathers, which is more about people who say that metal music isn't real music. So because we're not in the top 40 charts, and because we're not singing about pimps and whores and God knows what, and because we're screaming and the way that the vocals come across, that metal's not real music, and that's bullshit. Excuse the language.
We actually changed the lyrics to that. We wanted a bit of crowd participation, so there is a bit where it says, "Now everybody scream, shut the fuck up," and so we get the whole crowd and they all sing along with us, and it's actually brilliant because everyone gets the fingers up, and it's really nice to kind of get people involved with the fact that everybody has had that experience. I think it's a metal thing, isn't it, in general, that we do get a lot of prejudice about the music and that we're weird and that we're odd for liking this kind of music. And it's like, no, we're not.
Because it's heavy and loud and aggressive, that obviously means we're singing about killing people. But we don't sing about killing people. No. We sing about a wide range of things. Yeah.
One of the big questions that I've always had to ask is, when it comes to metal music, is there a big difference between American-style metal music and British-style metal music, or are they mainly the same?
It's difficult because we're still quite new on the scene, so we're seeing a lot more. There's a lot more metalcore, I think, in the UK, just like underground, but also there's a lot of like kind of stoner and doom metal and old school black metal and death metal, which is really cool. But we're not that familiar with what's underground in the US at the moment. We're still kind of breaking waves over here, so we're trying to find out what else is going on in the US.
I mean, one of the biggest bands that you guys have got in America at the moment is Bad Wolves.
I love Bad Wolves.
They're an amazing band. I mean, I've been a fan of Tommy Beck since he was in Divine Heresy, and Doc, their guitarist, he was in God Forbid, and now we're going back to early 2000s new wave of metalcore, and for them to come and do that right there, I mean, that's very good. That's a good example of what's going on in America right now. The really, really blisteringly heavy, but then the really melodic, clean singing as well. So we've got a lot of that over here. I mean, one thing that's quite big over here at the moment is slam. And beat down, really slow, chugging, crowd killing stuff. And but I don't think there's an equal amount of that from both sides, in my opinion. But either way, it's all good. It's all amazing. There's not.
And I was going to mention before, you mentioned earlier that one of your guys' influences was Limp Bizkit. And one of my first guests was a guy who opened up for Limp Bizkit in the early 2000s. So I had him on, and that was really, really cool. Yeah, so that was just a little inside story that I'd like to do. But when it comes to song titles, I've always wondered this, because I've asked bands this, every band that I've had on, and it's kind of 50-50. Some bands take the lyrics that have already been written for a song, and then they come up with a song title based off those lyrics. And then other bands have a song title already written in mind, and then they kind of come up with lyrics based off that. What would you guys say you guys mainly do when it comes to your song title process?
Well, when we're writing the song, we give them working titles. So we mentioned earlier on, we got Fajitas and Cats. So we wrote the song based on what conversations we had that day. So the first song we wrote was Fajitas and Cats. The second song we wrote, we were at our original guitarist's house, and we went on for tea and for a little bit of a writing session. We were eating curry and talking about what we would do to paedophiles. You know what I mean? So that song that we came up with was called Curry and Pedos. And then we've got we had Faff and Batty, we had Gnocchi and Mash, just anything that happens. So the name of the finished example of the song will be based on after Robin has written the lyrics for it. So,
So one of the big questions that I like to ask people, all musicians in fact that I have on here, is performing live. Just the thrill of that. We have a lot of bands come on here. They describe it kind of as like a drug that you could never take, or a drug unlike any other. It's just the thrill of performing in front of all these people that are like here to watch you perform and have bought into your guys' music and your sound. What is that feeling like for you guys when you guys are performing live in front of people?
It's definitely an incredible feeling, isn't it? Because when you're on that stage, you just look down and there's all these people, especially when they're actually singing your songs as well. That's a very surreal experience, isn't it? We've often had people comment or leave reviews about the band, and one thing that does come across is our stage presence and our energy and just jumping around like idiots on stage. We've got a lot of energy, and I think it does get like absorbed by the crowds. As soon as the band is jumping around and doing things, and the crowd kind of get involved a lot more as well. So we're always, you're especially, because Fee's always right at the front and he's kind of pacing round and trying to get people involved and stuff, aren't you? So
I tend to avoid stages for some reason. I'm generally in the crowd with them for the whole thing. Robin likes to stay on stage with his microphone stand and be all pretty and in the lights and everything. I prefer to be down the bottom, starting pitch, throwing myself into people, getting them moving. But yeah, playing live is something But a few of us have done quite a lot over the years. But when you're seeing people singing along with what you've written, and when you've got people coming and taking the microphone from you and screaming with you down the microphone, and we made a point of making sure that we do an energetic show for 30 minutes of just pure mayhem.
Yeah, we're literally dripping with sweat at the end of it, because we're all jumping around so much, just enjoying it. And you can see, and I think people, like I say, they come up to us and they're like, wow, you guys are amazing. And having that feeling, we get people mobbing us when we come off stage, because we're at the moment where we're still in fairly small venues, but people come up to us and like, oh my God, you were amazing. And we're just like, oh my God, they're talking about us. This is a really surreal experience. This is like my first ever band, essentially. I've only really been playing the bass for 18 months. So we did the El Nino thing for a couple of gigs, but then started this straight up. So for me, this is just like mind-boggling that people are, first of all, come to see us. Yeah. Second of all, really enjoying the song. Third of all, actually singing along to the songs, and then coming and wanting pictures with us afterwards and things like that, and just saying how cool we were and how epic it was. It's just, it's absolutely amazing, and it's that makes us do it, because I don't know what it's like over in the US, but for bands at our stage, we very rarely get paid to do any of these gigs. We have to travel around, and we do it all off our own back just to get the exposure out there. So we're doing absolutely everything we physically can to get our music out there, and luckily the people who are coming to watch it are really enjoying it, and they're feeding back and they're listening to us and they're sharing us, and that's how we actually have to grow in the UK. We have to just physically get out there, and I mean, luckily, compared to the US, the UK is very small, so so we're not having to travel for days, obviously, to get from A to B. But it is all off our own back, and so we don't get any money for it.
We prove that in our live show that whether we're playing we have played in venues where we've only played to the other bands that we're playing with. There's been no one there, badly promoted for whatever reason, and we've played in places where there's loads of people there. So whether we're playing to no one or whether we're playing to thousands, we're still going to do the whole go nuts over absolutely everything, like it's our last gig every time. And that kind of why we wanted to, where the name came from as well, because we want people to feel that once they've seen us, they've witnessed a storm and they're windswept. And we do, like you said, we have people coming up to it afterwards just going, wow, I don't even like this kind of music, but you guys were awesome. And that's exactly why we do it.
That's what we want, we love it, absolutely.
So when you guys are performing, does time seem to go by really fast, or does it seem to slow down, or is it sort of a mixture of both?
Very, very fast.
It goes
very fast, I mean, let's say we're only half-hour sets at the moment. I mean, maximum we'll do is 45 minutes. So again, it's probably, I don't know if it's different over in the US, but the way that gigs are over here, they tend to have 4 or 5 bands a night, so we get half an hour each. And so for us, that half an hour is the quickest half an hour known to man. You'll be like on your start-up track, and then we'll be finishing, and we're like, oh,
thank you,
thanks, see you, bye. And it's like, oh, and we always get a bit of a, oh, we're done now, and that's we always want more, don't we? Whereas like I could do that 10 times over and still have the same amount of energy at the end of it.
Well, to answer the question, it goes too fast.
Too fast, yes, definitely too fast.
We love to hear first show stories. What was the first show that you guys played at as a band? Where was it at, and how did it go?
Doncaster.
Doncaster, which is in South Yorkshire. I mean, we're in Yorkshire. It's about an hour away from where we live. And we were actually put on that show by a friend of ours who's a promoter, and he basically took a punt on, and he'd never heard any of our music or anything. He knew that we were starting a band, and was like, do you want the opening slot on this gig? And we were like, yeah, go on. And we literally had maybe written one song at that point, but the best thing really, it gave us a bit of a time frame to actually get it completed by, to get a set ready. So it was good to have that pressure of going along. We've actually got a few of the songs on YouTube, and so you can actually see what it sounded like, and we were actually really pleased with it, weren't we? But when we look back, the amount that we've developed ourselves is very, very different. So
if you actually check that video out on our YouTube page, you'll see I'm looking down a lot because I had the lyrics on a bit of paper. I wasn't 100% on them. So.
I was genuinely terrified. I had no idea what I was doing. But when you see our stage show now, we're just a complete different thing. And that's only in the space. That was only in April this year. So, but we've done about 25 gigs since then. So we've been out a lot since then. So we've had a lot of practice.
And now we've not only do we know the set like the back of our hand. We've got the light show that we've just started as well. So we're getting better and better and better with every single gig that we do, and we've got no intention of slowing down. We as much as we support all the other bands on the scene, and we love them, and we've built a reputation with them, not just for us, but for everyone else as well. It's our full intention to blow every single band that we play with out of the water, with terms of stage show and presence. We want the other bands to sit there and go, how are we supposed to follow that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
As much as we're very, very big friends, very good friends with all of them, that's our full intention to be bigger and be better.
And with playing all of those shows, have you guys sort of developed a tradition or any like superstitions that you guys have to do before you go on the show? We have a lot of bands that talk about they like to have a few shots, or they like to have a couple of beers, or they all like to stretch before they go on to a show. Do you guys have any traditions that you like to do as a band before you go on, or do you guys just like to wing it when you get to the venue?
We have to wing it. We have to wing it every time. Yeah. Our setup, every single venue we go to is very different, and our setup is quite... Most of the time, it's trying to educate the sound guy exactly what we have, because we've got so many electronic elements, and like the samples run through a laptop, and then we've got the pedals and stuff, and
the bass guitar tone is completely different to what you would class as standard metal bass guitar tone.
Yeah, well, I play a 6-string bass, and most guys haven't even seen one of them before. They're like, "What am I meant to do with that?" And
your bass guitar, it sounds really punchy. Yeah, that's the whole point. Can you turn the mid up a bit? Nope. That's not what we do.
So most of our pre-gig rituals are literally explaining to the sound guy what we need.
The samples are not a backing track. It's a very large part of the music, so they need to be relatively loud. I'm quite a loud screamer. He's quite a quiet singer. And all that. So the only really ritual that we have is Robin. Robin does his warm.
Yeah, he has to warm up his vocals.
I tried doing warm-ups, didn't work. So I stopped doing them. So I literally go on there and start screaming, and everything's good.
Yeah. But we don't have anything weird doing our. We just basically we like to meet the other bands.
Yeah.
You know, we always make a point of meeting the other bands and having a chat with them, because they're all in the same boat as us, and we're huge ambassadors for promoting other bands and promoting the scene. So we always, when we're at a gig, like we'll go live from the other band sets and stuff, and take videos and promote them, because we know how hard it is to get your name out there. So we're just trying to do everything that we can. So that's one thing that we do. And we have met so many nice people on the road, just other bands who are just really, really cool people. So we always take the time to talk to them.
And we've only just started out as well. So we've got hundreds of bands that we've never even heard of yet that we're going to end up playing with a meeting.
And I usually save this for the end, but since we're kind of at that point right now, for promotion-wise, are there any bands in your area that you'd like to give a shout-out to right now?
Oh, there's loads, isn't
absolutely. First of all, will be 1 Year Dead. They're from Sheffield. They are metalcore, pretty similar to us. They're an awesome bunch of guys. I love them. We're going to be... Not much has been said yet, so you can have the first snippet. We're going to be looking at doing a split EP with them, as well as our album, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, something that we can kind of give out at gigs and stuff, you know, just to help promote them.
Yeah.
We've also got Impusa, who are brilliant. They're, again, kind of like more of a heavier side of metalcore. Really, really good, strong bands, and they're definitely ones to watch out for.
Albion Codex.
Yeah, Albion Codex.
Yeah.
They're, again, a brilliant band.
Yeah, they're more of the slammy, heavier, deeper, crowd-killing type music. But they're absolutely amazing. Primordial Swarm, they're in the same vein as Albion Codex. They're from Manchester. There's 7 of them. They've got 2 vocalists, 2 guitarists. They've also got a guitar player.
They're really good to watch.
It's absolutely incredible. Yeah. We played with them not long ago, and they were just insane.
Another band that I don't know if they're relatively big over here, but possibly I'm not sure about the US. We're actually supporting them in a few weeks' time. In a few weeks' time? Yeah. They're called The City Is Ours, and they are really, really good. Yeah. They say they're getting really big over here at the moment, so you might hear a little bit of them over there if they haven't already.
Yeah. There's been a few people on their post saying, please come over to the States, so I have no doubt that they'll be over there at some point, because they're just phenomenal.
But to be honest, we could spend the next half hour just listing bands we've just loved.
That's why I usually save it towards the very end, because then everyone, they just get all their things. But I appreciate, I love giving all those band shouts out as well. But now we go to our most popular part of the podcast, the 5 questionnaires, a little getting to know you that I like to ask people. You can answer these questions separately. Now, for the first question, out of all the songs that have ever been written in the history of music, what is one song that you personally wish that you had come up with yourself?
God, that's a really hard question.
Warrior by Dead by April for me.
I actually have zero idea. I'm really rubbish with questions like this. When they put me on the spot, it's like, pass. What's my favorite? I love My Pleasant Torture by El Nino. Is it My Pleasant Torture? Yeah, My Pleasant Torture by El Nino. I absolutely love that song. It's more of a slower song, but I think it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We got a lot of influence from El Nino, so hopefully that'll come through on our songs. That's my favourite.
And now for our second question, out of all the artists that have ever lived, dead or alive, doesn't matter, you can choose either one. If you could perform live for one show with any artist or musician, who would it be?
Emiya.
Yeah.
Without fail, Emiya. They're my personal big influence. Frankie Palmieri, their vocalist, is an absolute god in my eyes. They get a lot of ribbing. Because they're not very technical, shall we say. They play 9-string guitars, and it's all very
Genty.
101, but
they
the
are
music
incredible.
And the lyrics that he comes out with is, I love it. It's aggressive, and it's purposely aggressive, and he is talking about stabbing some dick who pisses him off. And that sits beautifully with me. So for me personally, it'd be definitely Emiya.
We have the goals of if Emiya came over here, then we would do anything in our power to support them. But also Bad Wolves, we would love to support them.
Dead by
April, El Nino, obviously that's where it all started. We would love to support El Nino. I think if we're talking about dead artists that have passed away, it would definitely be Linkin Park. Absolutely. We're actually playing with the Linkin Park tribute, and that in itself is a massive honour, because I don't know if you can see Fee's tattoos. He's got Chester's on his wrist there. So huge influence, especially to you, isn't it? So that would be, if you're talking about artists that are past, I think that would definitely be the biggest one there. But
all right. So now for our third question, out of all the venues on the planet, if you had your pick to play anywhere in the world at any concert, where would you go?
I would love to play at one of the big European festivals like Wacken or something like that. I think that would be cool. For me,
it'd probably be Download Festival.
Yeah, Downloads. It used to be awesome. Recently, Download's like a big UK festival. I don't know if you know of it, and it's really good. But
we've got Leeds Fest. Leeds Fest have had Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Green Day, all the Linkin Park, all the big headliners. But more recently, it's gone
more
into
mainstream, isn't
poppy,
it?
almost Kanye West type stuff and chart stuff. And so when I was younger, a few years ago, Leeds Fest would have been the ultimate thing. But nowadays, it's more Download, Bloodstock.
Yeah.
Is there a specific venue that you guys would have in mind too, as opposed to just a concert? Like if you could perform at any stage?
You always said that the Cat House in Glasgow would be one place.
Yeah, Cat House. I did some work in Glasgow, and there's a little nightclub up there, and it is a dark and dingy thing on 3 floors, but it played the most amazing music, and that is one of the big things that I remember about Scotland, alongside the haggis and the Iron Brew. But yeah, big venues.
I mean, we played at the Corporation in Sheffield, which that was, the sound system in there was amazing. We were only in the smaller room. We'd love to play in the bigger room of that. But even in the smaller room, because we've got loads of sub-drops in our music, and you were saying you could literally see people's hair moving with it. It was like, in that. To get I think any venue where you get a wall of people, I've never had that experience at, where there's like back to front, just people staring at you. I think anything like that, the whole atmosphere would just be incredible, wouldn't it? So,
but if we were going to talk about legendary venues, I would probably say CBGB's in New York. Is it in New York?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's one of our more popular answers. Yep.
Yeah.
We get a lot of Madison Square Garden. We get a lot of Red Rocks, which is in Colorado. But me personally, if I could choose any place in the world, I would do Slane Castle.
I have no idea where that is.
Oh, it's in Ireland. It's like a castle where then you play right in front of it, and there's a huge meadow out in front. It's like Guns N' Roses. They have headline events like every year. It's unbelievable the view, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about especially places like the UK and Ireland. You have a lot of castles still that are left over that you could probably play and turn into venues, which would be really, really cool. But now we get to the real nitty gritty of the podcast. This is our most famous question. What is a guilty pleasure song that you enjoy that other people would never guess that you like?
Your guilty pleasures.
How much time have you got, man? I can make people cry with my choice. I spent my entire high school listening to Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Spice Girls, Bewitched, all that. But still listening today, I would class the Backstreet Boys as one of the greatest bands that have ever existed. I still listen to them, I sing along, and more importantly, I know all the dance moves for every single video I've ever released.
He really does.
Yeah.
It was funny actually, because we did a competition on our Facebook page about 4 months ago, didn't we? And we said to people, send us your guilty pleasure songs and we'll do a cover of the one that gets the most votes. And in there was, I don't think you guys all have a clue who they are, but the Venga Boys. Have you heard of them before?
No, but
like
but just their name alone sounds interesting.
Yeah, Euro pop, and they do a really. It's pretty epic, to be honest.
Cheesy
dance music, and the Venga Boys was quite high up on the poll for quite a while, and it was between them and NSYNC, and it was actually one of our American fans that got the NSYNC actually won. So we have done a cover of Bye 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 by NSYNC, which is going to be released very, very soon. But that was a lot of fun, like trying to find. We
had Bonnie Tyler,
yeah.
Dirty Dancing soundtracks. Five
was my input. I think Five is again another British boy band that we've got over here, and I used to love my boy bands when I was younger, but
I still do.
He still does, cool. Yeah. I don't know if I've got any like, I don't know. My mum always got me into Simon and Garfunkel, so I think I could probably sing those songs word for word just because of my mum's influence. She'd be very proud of me. But yeah, I stick to my metal really, don't I? You're the one that sits and listens to your boy bands.
All right, so for our final question of the 5 questionnaires, if you had the power to make it so that any musician on the planet, their music would be erased from existence, like no one would ever forget, or everyone would forget that they ever existed as a band, their music would have never existed. Now, they'd still be alive. I have to point that out because every time I ask this, they always ask if they're killed or not. But no, we'll just say that they decide to be like a carpenter or a plumber or something other than a musician. But their music ceased to exist. If you had that power and you could do it to any artist, who would it be?
That's a really tough question, isn't it? To be honest, I don't hate an artist that much that I would want them to be erased, because this is probably a very diplomatic response, but as a musician, I know how much work goes into music and how much. So even if it's not to your taste, I kind of appreciate it anyway, because you know that there's been a lot of work go into it. I think, if anything, some of the chart music that you hear on the radio and stuff, and you just think, what on earth is that? And it wouldn't be anyone in particular, or maybe some of these one-hit wonders, and the song just gets stuck in your head and you just can't get rid of it. I can't even think of a song in particular, but yeah, those songs, I could probably erase them from existence. But I mean, in general, if someone's taken the time and effort to actually write a song and record it and make a video for it and get it out there, and then I think they deserve their place, even if it's not my cup of tea. So have you got anybody who you would absolutely get rid of?
Yeah, but I can't say. Let's just say that as we've said before, we really support all the other bands and stuff, the hard-working bands, and those that work towards getting what they get and how far they get. what really grinds my gears, and I'm using that word because I can't say what I really want to say, are those that expect it to be handed to them on a plate. Those of them who do no work at all whatsoever, but expect everything to be given to them. Those who are, instead of being supportive, they badmouth other bands, local bands and things. I mean, I'm not talking about anyone big here. I'm talking literally about local scene. There's a few knocking around that are just dicks, and they need to disappear very quickly. And if I had the power to do that, I would, without a shadow of a doubt, get rid of every single band who just don't deserve any recognition or any attention that they get. And some of the stuff that I've seen that band members have posted on Facebook about their own fans, no.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
Attitude is everything in music. You have to appreciate every single person that listens to your music. You have to, everybody who gives you a gig, everybody who turns up to a gig, everybody who says, wow, that was awesome. You know, you need to appreciate that. And people who don't appreciate that and slate their own fans, it's just bizarre.
We understand that none of these bands are going to appeal to absolutely everybody on the planet.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there are going to be people that don't like it. Now, I could very easily like the music that the band I'm talking about produced very easily, but as soon as I see that they're being dicks, I lose all respect. That's it. Everything's gone. No more listening, no more appreciating, no nothing. And even though we won't personally badmouth them ourselves,
we just back off,
distance ourselves away from them, just make sure that we don't work with them.
The most controversial answer I got to say that we've had on for that question was someone said Queen.
Right, okay.
I was shocked.
So they would eliminate Queen out of the...
Queen?
Yeah, that's what they said. That's why I was shocked. Yeah. I said, why would you eliminate Queen? And then they're like, oh, I just don't like them. And I was like, okay, but it's Queen. You can't... No Bohemian Rhapsody, no anything? Are you kidding me?
Bohemian Rhapsody is the best song in the universe.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, by far. We get a lot of like Kanye West and like Post Malone and that type of music, but yeah, I totally understand. I know it's all about like supporting the local scene and just helping people out because like I found out, especially with this podcast, if you're nice to people, they'll be nice back, and it's really all about who you know and making connections, and that's just the name of the game with about everything in life, so I completely understand that. So where can people find your music? Do you have Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube? I know we'll link all that stuff down below, but where else can they find you?
We don't have SoundCloud, but we do have
Bandcamp,
iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Amazon,
all of them,
all the big major streaming platforms.
Spotify's the main one that we've got on there.
Not all of our music, but all of our live shows that we've done are all on our YouTube channel.
Yeah. And we've got 2 videos up there as well. We are going to do some more. We've just completed a crowdfunder. We actually completed it in 6 days, which was incredible. Wow. So we completed that and smashed it. We've got 2 weeks left on it, and as soon as the money's released, we're going to book into a studio. We've got an entire album's worth of material ready. Everything that we've done so far, one thing we must say is we've done it all on our own, literally in this room that we're sat in. So everything that's been recorded has been recorded into the computer that we're speaking on now, and has been mixed by John, our guitarist, and we've sung into this mic, this one that we're sat talking into. That's where the singing comes from, and we've done it on zero budget. So all of the videos and stuff that's out there, we've done with just the help of some amazing friends and borrowed cameras and stuff like that. We've done on no money. So the fact that we've got this crowdfunder completed and we've actually got some money so we can go into a studio is just going to make our music sound so much better. We're in talks with a producer who actually specializes in techno and like synths and stuff like that, and so he's really excited to get his hands on our music. He's talking about like 4D experience, so all the music moving around and stuff like that. We really can't wait for that because it's just going to bring it. I mean, we're really proud of what we've got out there so far, but we know it's got so much more potential, so we can't wait to get this album out, and hopefully that'll be out by the end of the year, so that'll all be on Spotify and everything like that. But yeah, we just appreciate we're currently unsigned. We have had offers from labels, but it's like with anything, everybody wants money from you, and if you don't have the money, then it's just one of those things. So we're just doing what we can with what we've got and what resources we've got, and we don't think we're doing too badly so far. so yeah,
without sounding big-headed, we knew that the music that we were doing was different and it was going to be well received, but the extent and the speed that it's got to where we are, I mean, our Facebook page is 1,000, 2,000,
2,500 at the moment.
Nearly 2,500 likes in 6 months. We're all over Instagram as well.
Spotify.
So we have a big social media presence, and that's helped absolutely massively. Yeah. But we knew it would be popular, but not 6 days into a 30-day Kickstarter, you've reached your goal email. I was like, Jesus, where does that come from? But every single one of the people that have pledged, they've helped us make. Well, help us going to make an absolute amazing album.
Can't wait for that.
If they're like the 3 tracks that we've got that we recorded at home right here that cost us nothing and we threw it out there, then I can only imagine what it's going to be like when we get a fully recorded, produced, mixed and mastered album out there. So,
very excited.
Do you have any upcoming shows that you would like to promote?
Yeah, this Saturday, 2 days time, we're playing Woodfest. It's
There's a charity in the UK called the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. I don't know if you guys are aware of it over in the US. It's basically, there was a girl, I think it was 10 years ago now, and she was killed because she was alternative. She was basically beaten up and she died.
Oh, wow.
And it's so that's a huge thing for us coming from the alternative scene, basically. So it's a charity fundraiser to stamp out hatred towards alternative. She was a gothic and emo kids, and so we're headlining that on Saturday, alongside the bands that we plugged earlier, so One Year Dead and Impusa and Albion Codex, and so that is going to be a really, really good day. We will be streaming it from our Facebook page as well, so if anybody wants to join in from wherever they are, then you can come and tune in. It's going to be on all day, so that's going to be good.
All the events that we've got booked up for the rest of this year are all on our Facebook page, so we're playing Face Barmageddon in Reading, which is a massive 3-day festival full of everyone basically. We've got Sheffield on there.
Sheffield next week.
Leeds again.
Yeah, we're actually playing. Really honoured to be playing a film. What do you call it? Premiere, a film premiere. There's an English zombie film coming out called Redcon 1, and they're having film promo all over. I was actually a zombie in the film, so they've actually asked, it's going to be cool. So they're having there's on the 6th of October, we're organising a zombie walk and the film screening, and then the after party, and all of the bands and everything are getting all zombied up. So that's going to be a really, really good do. Very excited about that. So we actually got loads. We've got about 10 up to the end of the year, haven't we? 10 gigs up to the end of the year, but we're going to be booking in the studio time as well, so we're busy. Really busy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's awesome. So definitely you guys check these guys out. And I like to ask these 2 final questions to every guest that I have on before I wrap up, and this goes for each of you guys to answer as well. If someone were to walk up to you on the street and say, hey, I'm thinking about forming a band, or I'm thinking about just getting involved more in music, what would be your best piece of advice for them in order for them to not just be successful in what they do, but also to enjoy it?
First of all, would be to write what feels right to you. Don't write what people think that you should be writing. So if you want to write a song and you want the lyrics to be about unicorns, then write a song about a unicorn, man. If that's what feels right for you. If you want a song that's just a breakdown from beginning to end, write a song that's a breakdown from beginning to end.
Because you're not going to enjoy a song if you don't feel it, do you? You need to feel the music. You need to enjoy it, and it needs to be about you, and your personalities need to come through in the music as well.
We're not perfect, even though we mentioned we throw the song back and forth to each other. There's been times where we'll sit there and we'll go, no, I don't like that.
No.
No, that's not what we do. And so it's more, it has to. On that note, however, there was an interview with Chester from Linkin Park where he said that he absolutely despised, in the end, he hated it. He never liked the music. Mike did a lot of the lyrics for it, so Chester just didn't feel it. And then it ended up being quite possibly their biggest song they ever did. And he said himself, even though I didn't feel it, everybody else felt it. So it'll be a matter of
a bit of compromise, but you do have to just
you
go
have to
for
feel
it.
something for it.
Also, you need to get a good group around you. You all need to have the same dream. You need to be working together, because it is a team. It is a team thing. You all need to be on the same page. No big egos as well, because it always ends up with something going terribly wrong. We have a rule in this band, and it's basically no drama. No drama is allowed. If any drama starts coming in, it's eliminated straight away, and that actually really is quite successful. For me personally, about music, I always wanted to be in a band, but I could never play an instrument, and I only started playing last March, playing bass full stop. So for me, any word of advice is don't give up, because anybody is capable of doing it. If you've got a dream, you can find your way of doing it. So just it's been a lot of work, a lot of practice and stuff, but find the right teacher. If you don't know how to play an instrument, you just need to work out how you learn and get the right teacher, and just keep practicing and just keep at it. We're constantly at it, aren't we? Working, but it is paying off. So
when you have your songs, when you have your band and you're ready to play, appreciate every single promoter, every single band, everyone that gives you a chance.
Every single podcast presenter that rings you for nothing.
Every single share, every single comment, every single one of them, appreciate what's given to you, because it's not easy to get shows.
No.
It's not easy to stand out with the music, especially in a scene that's so flooded, especially metal, when you've got metal and then you've got all the subgenres that come from it. But just be appreciative and be thankful for every single opportunity that you're given. And don't give up.
Don't give up. It is hard. Like I say, we don't do this for money. I don't think we've made any money at all, have we? But
we've spent a lot. We've not earned a lot at all. No.
But you've got to keep your dream there, and if you've got a dream, and you just got to keep working at it, and that's what we're doing right now. And it's a lot of fun at the end of the day, so we are enjoying it.
And believe me, we appreciate you guys coming on as well. And finally, for our last question, where would you see Tormenta in a year's time from now? I mean, I know you said you have some shows coming before the end of the year, and you have an album that you want to that you want to record at least. But in a year's time, if you were to look a year in the future, what would be your goal of what your band would look like then?
It's what we would love is we're really desperate. Well, not desperate is probably the wrong word. We would love. Our dream is to support some of the bigger bands, like we say. So having Immure come over, or Dead Brave will come over, or Bad Wolves, and to get on one of those big shows with one of those guys, because that's what kind of, there's like a pivotal point in a band's career, where they go from being a local band to being more than a local band. And we would love that point to get to us next year. Everything that we've done has come really, really quick, and we want to keep up the pace. So we're just keeping at it, and we're just grabbing opportunities wherever we can. And
we can be a little bit more picky, because we've played any old show that's been given to us, and some of them have been absolutely amazing. Some of them have been an anticlimax. But now we've got to the point where we've put so much money into this, we put so much time into this, that we need to pull ourselves back a little bit and be a little bit more selective as to where we go and what we do. So if we keep to that, then in a year's time we should be looking at recording our second album or second EP. And our sound will evolve. It will get better. I will understand how to use the electronic stuff a little bit better. And the stuff that we can come out with will hopefully keep blowing people's minds. So.
Our theory is you can only ever get better. So every single gig we do, we get better. Every single song we write, it gets better. And you can only ever improve on what you've got. You can never go backwards. So we're just going to keep going forward and just keep with the same attitude and just keep working hard, and hopefully it'll pay off in our favour. So who knows? Let's see what 2019's got to serve us.
Absolutely. And I mean, we really appreciate you coming on. Again, everyone, Tormenta, I'll leave all the links down below for all of their music. You can go and check it out. I really, really appreciate having them on. And you guys, if you just want to hear some new music, if you want to hear some music from all the way across the pond, I mean, obviously go and check these guys out. I highly recommend it. And we wish you guys nothing but the best in all all of your successes. When you guys have that album that's going to be coming out, make sure to give me a shout, or make sure to message me on Facebook or anything, and I'd be more than happy to help promote it on this show. And like I said, we really, really appreciate having you guys on. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap it up here?
No, just a massive thank you. Really nice to meet you.
To everyone who's listening, keep supporting the scene. Go to the local gigs. I mean, for you guys, it's going to be a few dollars. Go down the street, go and see them.
Take a punt.
It means more to the bands than you will ever realise. Yeah. Everybody's happy to pay $50, $60 to go and see Iron Maiden or Metallica or anything, but it's the smaller bands that need you.
Yeah, without
Iron
the
Maiden
small
don't
bands.
need any more money. Slayer don't need any more money.
It's the small bands that are going to get big, and they're only ever going to get big through support and through networking.
Not only that, you've got the venues as well. The venues need you to go down. They need you to go and buy their beer. They need you to... They need it. The smaller venues, the smaller bands, pay them some attention. I guarantee you will find some music that's absolutely
amazing.
We're lucky because we get to play with these bands as well. But yeah, don't forget about the small guys. Go and see them. Pay your $5 and have an amazing evening. I guarantee you.
And you get to usually hang out with the band as well, and they'll probably buy you a beer for the show if they're anything like us.
Absolutely, and like I say, every big band that's ever existed has always started out as a small band, so it's just all about supporting the small bands too, because you never know, and it's just a great thing too to just help support each other. I mean, that's what it's all about. So again, you guys, Tormenta, highly recommend. Go check them out. Links down below and everything. And this is DD on the Spot. Ryan Johnson signing out. Have a great day, everyone.